The year was 1887, and the endless plains of Montana stretched farther than the eye could see. Dust swirled across the lonely ranch where 34-year-old Daniel Carter lived by himself. Every morning he fed his horses, repaired fences, and worked until sunset. His ranch was growing, but his heart remained empty. For years, Daniel dreamed of having a family. Yet there were hardly any women living in the frontier towns. After much hesitation, he placed an advertisement in a newspaper seeking a mail-order bride. He prayed every night that God would send him someone kind. Months passed before a letter finally arrived. The woman writing was named Margaret Wilson. She lived in Boston and explained that she was a widow with 5 young children. Her husband had died from illness, leaving her with debts and little hope. She wasn't looking for riches. She simply wanted a safe place where her children could grow with dignity. Many men would have ignored such a letter. Daniel read it 3 times. Then he smiled. Instead of seeing 5 children as a burden, he saw 5 reasons to fill the empty rooms of his home. He wrote back immediately. You may not be the bride I imagined, but perhaps you're the family I've been praying for. Weeks later, Daniel waited nervously at the small railway station. When the train finally stopped, dozens of passengers stepped onto the platform. Then he saw her. Margaret stood quietly in a faded blue dress, holding the youngest child in her arms. 4 other children gathered close around her, looking frightened after the long journey. Daniel had expected one woman. Instead, 6 tired souls stood before him. For a brief second, everyone remained silent. Little Emma, only 6 years old, whispered to her mother. Is that our new papa? Margaret lowered her eyes, embarrassed. Daniel knelt down, smiled warmly, and answered first. If you'll let me earn that title someday. The children slowly smiled. It was the beginning of something neither of them expected. Life on the ranch wasn't easy. The children had never seen endless fields, horses, or cattle. The oldest boy, Thomas, refused to speak to Daniel for weeks. He believed no one could ever replace his real father. Daniel never forced him. Instead, every morning he left an extra hammer beside the barn. One day Thomas quietly picked it up. Without saying a word, he helped repair the fence. From then on, they worked side by side. No speeches. No promises. Only quiet respect. Margaret struggled too. She worried constantly that Daniel regretted his decision. One evening she apologized. I brought you 5 mouths to feed instead of happiness. Daniel looked around the dinner table where laughter filled the room. I asked heaven for a wife. He smiled. It sent me a home. Tears filled Margaret's eyes. It was the first time since her husband's death that she truly believed the future could be brighter. Winter arrived early that year. A terrible snowstorm trapped the family inside for days. Food supplies became dangerously low. Daniel rode 20 miles through deep snow to reach the nearest trading post. The journey nearly cost him his life. When he finally returned with flour, medicine, and blankets, the children rushed outside despite the freezing wind. Little Emma hugged him tightly. You came back. Daniel laughed. I'll always come back. For the first time, Thomas quietly called him Pa. Daniel froze. It was only one small word. But it meant everything. Spring brought new hope. Together they planted vegetables, repaired the farmhouse, and built a larger chicken coop. Every child had chores. Every child also had dreams. Daniel encouraged them all. He taught Thomas to manage horses. He helped Sarah learn to read maps. He carved wooden toys for the younger children during quiet evenings. Margaret often watched from the porch, amazed by how naturally love had grown between them. Not through grand romance, but through everyday kindness. Months later, Daniel and Margaret were married in the little wooden church outside town. The ceremony was simple. Wildflowers decorated the altar. Neighbors brought homemade pies. The children stood proudly beside them. When the minister asked who supported this marriage, 5 young voices answered together. We do. Everyone laughed through happy tears. Years passed. The ranch prospered. The children grew into hardworking young adults. People often praised Daniel for accepting another man's family. But Daniel always corrected them. They were never someone else's family. They became mine the day I chose to love them. On Daniel's 60th birthday, all 5 children returned home with their own families. The once silent ranch echoed with the laughter of grandchildren. As the sun set across the golden prairie, Thomas raised a glass. You taught us something our real father never had the chance to. Daniel looked surprised. Thomas continued. Being a father isn't about blood. It's about showing up every single day. Margaret squeezed Daniel's hand. After all those years, she still remembered stepping off that train with fear in her heart. She had expected judgment. Instead, she found grace. She had expected charity. Instead, she found love. Daniel had waited for a mail-order bride. But fate had sent him something far greater. Not just a wife, a family. And in the wild, unforgiving American frontier, where survival was never guaranteed, love became the strongest foundation they ever built.